For nearly 20 years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were held up as the rarest of Hollywood phenomena, a love story that appeared to defy the odds. In an industry littered with broken marriages, scandal, and short-lived passion, they stood as proof that commitment, recovery, and devotion could survive fame. She was the ethereal, Oscar-winning actress whose career spanned continents and generations. He was the country music star whose rise from addiction to artistic redemption inspired millions. Together, they embodied hope. But behind the red carpets, award show tributes, and carefully curated family photographs, the marriage was quietly unraveling. Court documents would eventually confirm what whispers had hinted at for years. Nicole filed for divorce after 19 years of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. Insiders claimed she had fought desperately to save the relationship. And when Keith stepped onto the stage for his first performance after the split no wedding ring, altered lyrics, and a conspicuous absence of songs tied to Nicole, the facade finally collapsed. The golden couple image shattered, and for the first time, the public was forced to confront a more complicated truth. Nicole Mary Kidman's story begins far from Hollywood glamour. Born in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1967 to Australian parents temporarily. Living abroad, her early life was shaped by intellect, structure, and quiet discipline. Her father, Anthony Kidman, was a respected clinical psychologist and biochemist, while her mother, Janelle, balanced nursing with education and advocacy. When the family returned to Sydney, Nicole grew up in an environment that valued achievement, but left little room for emotional messages. She was not the confident figure audiences would later admire. As a child, Nicole was painfully shy, often blushing uncontrollably when called upon in class. Teachers worried she lacked confidence, unaware that beneath her silence was a rich inner world. Performance became her refuge. Ballet offered control, drama offered release, and youth theater gave her permission to feel deeply without explanation. Acting did not just give Nicole a career. It gave her a language for emotions she had never been taught how to express by her teens. It was clear she possessed something rare. Australia's film industry was entering a vibrant period, and Nicole quickly found work in television, movies before landing a breakout role in the 1983 cult film BMX Bandits. Her height, porcelain skin, and striking presence made her visually unforgettable, but it was her emotional intelligence that set her apart. Directors saw depth, vulnerability, and restraint qualities that translated powerfully on screen. Hollywood soon took notice, and by the late 1980s, she was on a trajectory few Australian actors had achieved. It was during this meteoric rise that she met Tom Cruise, a meeting that would forever alter the course of her life. Their marriage in 1990 turned them into global royalty overnight. They were glamorous, successful, and relentlessly photographed. But beneath the surface, the relationship carried a heavy cost. Scientology loomed large over their union, shaping not just belief systems but power dynamics. Nicole has rarely spoken in detail about those years, but what is widely known is that when the marriage ended in 2001, she lost primary custody of their two adopted children, Isabella and Connor. The loss devastated her. Friends later described her grief as existential, as though motherhood itself had been taken from her. For Nicole, who longed deeply for family and belonging, the rupture left a scar that never fully healed. It was a wound that shaped every romantic decision she would make afterward. Keith Lionel Urban's early life unfolded on a different emotional terrain, but carried its own fractures. Born in Whangarei, New Zealand, the same year as Nicole, his family later relocated to Queensland, Australia. Keith was restless from the beginning, drawn to sound, rhythm, and escape. His father, Bob, owned a convenience store but nurtured a deep love of American country music, a genre far removed from suburban Australian norms. He encouraged Keith to learn guitar, and by the age of 6, Keith was performing publicly. Music became his identity, but also his shield. While details of his childhood remain guarded, those close to him have described a home marked by tension and instability. Country music, with its themes of heartbreak and redemption, spoke directly to something unresolved inside him. As a teenager, Keith dropped out of school to pursue music full-time, convinced there was no alternative path. He performed anywhere. That would have him refining not only his sound, but a persona of the brooding outsider with a rock star edge. But alongside talent came self-destruction. Alcohol and substances followed him into adulthood, quietly embedding themselves into his creative process. Fame, when it finally arrived, did not save him. It intensified the chaos. After years of struggle, his American breakthrough came in 1999 with his self-titled album, transforming him into country music's new heartthrob. Yet behind the accolades was a man deeply afraid of himself. When Nicole and Keith met in January 2005 at the GJ USA Gala in Los Angeles, the press framed it as destiny. Two Australians, born the same year, both globally famous, both scarred by past pain, meeting at a moment of personal transition. But the truth was less fairy tale and more fragile. Their connection was not rooted in perfection, but in shared damage. Nicole was rebuilding after profound loss. Keith was trying to outrun addiction. When their romance finally ignited, it burned fast and intensely. By June 2006, they were married in a lavish yet intimate ceremony in Sydney. To the outside world, it looked like healing. To those closer, it looked like urgency. Just 4 months after the wedding, Keith entered rehab. The shock was immediate and public. Nicole stood by him, fiercely loyal, determined not to abandon another marriage to forces beyond her control. In interviews, Keith later credited her with saving his life. But insiders saw something more complex taking shape. Nicole, denied the chance to save her first marriage, embraced the role of protector and stabilizer. Keith, grateful but conflicted, struggled under the weight of being someone else's redemption story. For years, they worked tirelessly to maintain the image of an enduring love. They welcomed 2 daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, and presented themselves as a united family. Award shows, interviews, and public appearances reinforced the narrative. Yet privately, tension grew. Keith's touring schedule kept him away for long stretches. Nicole's work took her across the globe. Her need for routine and emotional security clashed with his restlessness. His ongoing battle with sobriety never fully receded from her mind. The marriage became a delicate balancing act between vigilance and trust, between love and exhaustion. By the early 2020s, cracks became harder to conceal. Rumors circulated about emotional distance, separate lives, and unresolved resentments. Publicly, they denied everything, often appearing together soon after speculation surfaced. Privately, friends described a relationship sustained more by effort than joy. Nicole grew weary of being the anchor. Keith grew resentful of feeling managed. Their differences were not explosive. They were erosive. Slowly, quietly, intimacy faded when Nicole filed for divorce in late September 2025, citing irreconcilable differences. The announcement shocked fans but felt inevitable to those who had been watching closely. The filing revealed her request for primary residential custody of their daughters, a decision shaped by the trauma of her past. Keith's response played out not in statements but on stage. His first performance after the news broke was raw, stripped of sentimentality. The missing wedding rings spoke volumes. Altered lyrics suggested bitterness and grief. Songs tied to Nicole disappeared. Music became his confessional, his battleground. Nicole, meanwhile, chose silence. She retreated into motherhood and work, appearing composed but visibly changed. For her, the divorce was not just an ending, but a recognition that love should not require self-erasure. Their story, once celebrated as proof that love could survive anything, became a reminder that even the most admired fairy tales can collapse under the weight of unresolved wounds. In the end, their separation was not about blame. It was about 2 people finally accepting that survival sometimes means letting go.